Okay, guys, we're going to interpret the remainder. This is something that we kind of struggle with. So let's look at what each one of these mean first. Scott and his family want to hike a trail that is 1,365 miles long. They will hike equal parts of the trail on 12 different hiking trips. How many miles will Scott's family hike on each trip? All right, so first of all, we first have to divide to find the quotient and the remainder. Okay, the blank represents the number of trips Scott and his family plan to take. So let's first set this up with what do I know? I know they have that many miles to go, and they're going to do it in 12 different hiking trips. And I know they're equal parts, so I know I'm going to take this and break it into equal parts of 12. So if I'm doing it, then I'm going to do, and I'm going to leave my remainder as, or I'm going to estimate. And I know 12 can go into 13 one time. About 100 times it's going to be. So when I figure this, I know that this is how many miles we have to go. This is the trips he's making. So how many trips do they plan on taking? 12. So the divisor tells me that. Then blank represents the whole number part of the number of the miles Scott's family will have on each trip. That is my quotient, will tell me that. All right, so let's figure this out. 12 goes into 13 once. Goes into 16 once. Goes into 45. 4 times it is 48, too much. So 3 times 36. I have to borrow. Remainder 9. The remainder represents how many of these miles are left over when they put them in 12 trips. So this is how many miles are left over. So the remainder represents 9 miles, which also can be divided into 12 parts, which when it's written as a fraction. So we're going to work on writing it as a fraction, and is all you have to do is, we know that there's 9 left over out of 12. So it's 9 out of 12. You take your remainder and you put it over top of your divisor. And then if we had to simplify it from last year, what number can both of these be divided into? They both can be divided into 3, and we have 3/4. So Scott and his family will hike how many miles on each trip? They will hike, how many miles will hike on each trip? It will be 113 miles and 9/12 of a mile. Okay, so here's what we really need to work on. What are they asking me? And what does my remainder represent? It's the leftover of your dividend. So let's look at this question. The segment of the Appalachian Trail that runs through the Pennsylvania is 232 miles long. Scott and his family want to hike 9 miles each day. How many days will it take them to hike exactly 9? Well, I know we have this many miles to go. That's my dividend. It's how much I have. I know I'm breaking it up into 9 equal parts. That's my divisor. So when I do that, 332 divided by 9. 9 goes into that. I would say 3 times. So about 30. Okay, so 9 goes into that 2 times, and we get 18. And we have 52. And 9 times 6 is 54, too much. So 9 times 5 is 45. 7, remainder 7. And if I write it as a fraction, remember it's how many's left over? Out of 9, my divisor. Okay, since the remainder shows that there isn't enough miles, so my answer, I have to answer my question, how many days will it take them to hike exactly 9 miles? Well, these are my days. It's going to take me 25 days to do exactly 9 miles. If they ask me how many days altogether, it would have been 6 because I still have how many miles left to hike? I still have 7 miles out of those 9 left over to hike. So what is the total number of days Scott will need to hike the whole thing? Then it would become 26 because I have to add another day to hike that on. If he's hiked 9 miles each day except on the last day, how many miles would he have to hike on the last day? Well, how many are left? 7. Okay. A sporting goods store is going to ship 1,252 sleeping bags. So I know how much I have. Each shipping carton can hold 8 sleeping bags. How many cartons are needed to ship all of the sleeping bags? Okay, so they started it for us. 8 times what gets me to 45? Well, 5, 40, brought down the 2, 52. Well, 8 times 7 is 56, too much. So 8 times 6 is 48. Okay, so your answer is what? Put it down first. How many cartons will they need to ship all of the sleeping bags? Okay, got your answer down? It should be 157. If you said 156, you did not ship all of the sleeping bags. We still have 4 left over. They need to be put into another carton. Oops. Since there are 4 left over, we have to have 1 more carton. Okay, would we have it 4 out of 8? No, because I want to know exactly how many I need. So sometimes you're going to need to write them as a fraction and sometimes not. They usually tell you. All right, so I would like you to work on these as a partners and then come back and check your answers. Oops, guys, been on and off. So here's my answers. Check yours with mine. I have 6 1/4 miles. I have 5 days, 11 rooms, 3 pieces, 12 pages, and 9 students. Check your work with mine, see how you did. Do these 3 together, guys, because I want you to understand. I want you to really look at the question. What's it asking you? How are you going to answer it? What does that remainder mean? Remember, your remainder is always what's left over from here. Like this is what's left over from there, from your dividend. And please do all of those on your own.